It's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I'm Ethan Van Sciver. You know, the political mood of the United States of America seems to be determined and forecast by what's more popular in horror and science fiction at any given time. I've noticed this. It's very strange. When the country's in a democratic mood, they want aliens and UFOs and vampires, but when they lean Republican, they have an insatiable hunger for zombie movies and werewolves. And this all started, for some reason, in 1968. Oh my, yes, the late 60s. The hippies were in bloom. We still had 2 more years before Charles Manson put an end to their movement, but everybody was angry about something. Everybody was involved in some kind of mass movement. There was anti-nuclear, environmental, hippie. Everybody was opposed to the war in Vietnam. There was women's lib. And crucially, there was the civil rights movement. America was at a boiling point. It even got to the point where on April 4th, they murdered Martin Luther King Jr. Terrible. And then shortly thereafter, on June 5th, they even killed RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., brother of John F. Kennedy. We didn't think it could happen. Nobody thought it could happen, and the war in Vietnam raged on, much to everyone's displeasure, including this man. America had moved on beyond the democratic liberal politics of Lyndon Baines Johnson. Even he was sick of himself. He decided he would not run for re-election, which was fine by everyone, because on October 1st, 1968, almost as if in reaction to this, the zombie craze was born. Night of the Living Dead, directed by George A. Romero, was completed on a $114,000 budget and made over 250 times that in profits, $18 million internationally.
Nixon goes over the top with 287 electoral votes. He needed 270 to win, and that seems to be the 1968 election.
And of course, in answer to that, a Republican took the White House.
I saw many signs in this campaign. Some of them were not friendly.
Of course not, but from then on, the popularity of zombies was always a good sign for the Republican Party. So maybe you heard some sketchy things about President Nixon. He was an imperfect man, but he did do some good things. He went to China and he had Elvis Presley over to the White House to go through some swatches of shag carpeting to do the walls and ceiling of the Oval Office. Would have looked totally bitchin'. I won't say that the zombie genre did great under Nixon from there, but some good movies did come out. Movies like The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, great title, and Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, another good title, but it wasn't good enough for the American people, and Nixon was shortly brought down by a scandal called Gamergate, while Democrats watched from the wings, waiting for their chance, making plans. This great man humbly apologized.
I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first.
True, but zombie movies stumbled under President Gerald Ford, not to recover again for years.
Good evening. Shortly before dawn, Jimmy Carter reached the end of his improbable 2-year, 500,000-mile political quest and won the presidency. Late in the morning, President Ford conceded Carter's victory.
As peanut farmer Jimmy Carter seized the presidency and power in his tyrannical iron fist, the American people longed to be anywhere but here. A long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They waited, hoping for a conquering alien army to invade and destroy them, or perhaps even a friendly alien who would come down and show them the way, who would save them. There was no respite from these fantasies the American people were having of UFOs, and who could blame them? This man was the only president to ever actually claim to have seen a UFO. With gas shortages, the American people could only dream of going anywhere but here. In 1978, though, some hope shone. George Romero's Dawn of the Dead was shown, the first zombie movie of substance to coincide with some small gains in the Senate during the midterms. but the Democrats held on to power, and Jimmy Carter didn't care. He didn't care how the American people were feeling. He brought Mork and Mindy and Battlestar Galactica to television. Oh, but there was hope on the horizon, a shining city on the hill, a shining zombie city on the hill awaited us all in the form of this man, and the future would be bright again. The greatest decade of all, thanks largely to this man becoming our president.
If you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Some were less happy. But normal Americans were thrilled, and all they wanted were zombie movies. And by the way, bring on some werewolf movies too now, because Republicans made them want to see werewolves. That's cool. Michael Jackson helped out with that with his brilliant music video, Thriller. His groundbreaking video included zombies and werewolves. Now, if you just wanted werewolves, you had plenty to choose from. There was Wolfen, there was the Howling series that went all the way up to Howling 6 in 1991. There was Full Moon High. There was the Teen Wolf movie series, Teen Wolf 1 and Teen Wolf 2. There was An American Werewolf in London. There was Silver Bullet. There was plenty to go around. If you just wanted the zombies, you had no shortage of choices there either. Day of the Dead was the third in George Romero's zombie series. You had Evil Dead, and you had the groundbreaking Evil Dead 2. You had the return of the Living Dead franchise, amazing comedy horror. You also had Army of Darkness, which was the third in the Evil Dead franchise. You had City of the Living Dead, and you had Pet Sematary, kind of a zombie movie, and The Reanimator. The 80s were all about werewolves and zombies. Now, there were a few vampire movies as well. There was Fright Night and Lost Boys and Near Dark, and those were amazing vampire films, but they were kind of the exception to the rule. More vampires were coming right around the corner.
Read my lips. Then he gave us the second biggest tax increase in American history.
And with that came the 90s, almost like it was George Bush's fault. Americans were tired of taking responsibility. They saw Republicans as daddy, keeping them down, placing the blame on them. They wanted a slick seducer, someone who would tell them that it wasn't their fault. They were being screwed by powerful people who weren't paying their fair share.
Everybody's affected by the debt because of the tremendous interest that goes into paying on that debt. Everything's more expensive.
No, wrong answer. Some people were more affected by the debt than others, and they wanted their pain felt. And those fat cats who weren't paying their fair share, it was about time we got someone in the White House who would bleed them dry. And then an interesting thing started to happen. We started to want to be lied to, as long as we were in on those lies and knew they were lies.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it. Didn't inhale and never tried it again.
Ha ha ha, he is lying about smoking weed. Insane in the membrane. So of course we made him our president. Pop culture reacted in two different ways. First of all, they reacted with a slew of awesome vampire movies, which represented our desire to be seduced by bloodsuckers. We had great movies, starting with the wonderful Bram Stoker's Dracula, An Interview with a Vampire, Vampire in Brooklyn, Innocent Blood, Blade, From Dusk Till Dawn, and then the sequel, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original movie, and then also an ongoing TV show, John Carpenter's Vampires, Sleepwalkers, Dracula, Dead and Loving It, even parodies, Love Bites, Bordello of Blood, and then a sequel to Blade, Blade 2. Kindred, The Embraced, a popular vampire TV series that was running during the 90s. And then there was also Shadow of the Vampire, starring John Malkovich, about the very first vampire movie, Nosferatu. Then, out of the blue, Dress.
Whitewater Council Kenneth Starr has been granted permission to expand his investigation. He will be looking into new allegations that President Clinton had an affair with a former White House intern and then urged her to lie about it.
No problem, it was all part of the culture. In the 90s, we liked to be lied to. We liked to be lied to that we were being lied to. We had a very popular ongoing TV show called The X-Files that basically let us know that the government was hiding an alien colonization scheme from the American people. We loved that. We also listened and believed people who told us they were abducted by UFOs and probes were put into their anuses. That became a big part of our culture. Also, there were movies like Men in Black that let us know that the government was working with aliens and keeping it from the American people using little flashlight guns. Finally, Mars Attacks. Just kill us, aliens. Put us out of our misery. And so, the Clinton years began with a very popular Dracula movie and ended with another Dracula movie. Was it quite as popular? No, not at all. Time for a change. Or was it?